let's see. All right, it is 5:33, Wednesday, March 15th, and we're going to call the Finance and Budget Committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the referendum update. Angela, would you like to kick it off with the update?
Yeah, I'm just going to reference the business office activity update document that's right included some of the information. I mean, we've really been working to, get the word out for the referendum on a very regular basis. Jim is off and running to a PTO event. We were talking to Wilson staff today to get several activities recently, just, gearing up and spreading the word. There's certain notices we have to publish. We also have information cards that were finalized with, I could have brought a copy tonight, I apologize. Actually, no, I linked it in here. In the business office activity update, the information card that's being printed and provided to staff will go out tomorrow. So people have it for over spring break. We need extras, so it's like one in each mailbox for a staff member. They'll have extras, and just to arm staff with just information to share with the public if they would like to share the information and spread the word about the referendum. We have 2 community sessions. We have one tomorrow night here in the boardroom, and then the Tuesday night, I say the 28th, I believe, March is going to be an online virtual event. Yes, it's the 28th, or actually, yes, at 6:30. So we really thought that having a virtual platform would be helpful. The in-person community events really have not been well attended. The Lincoln one had maybe 10 to 15 people. And then we had a very small handful of people at the last one, but it conflicted with the candidate forum. So we just need to work to coordinate in the future. It's like we didn't even think that we, potentially have a conflict with something else related to, the board and stuff. So, that was a minor hiccup, but that was, those things happen. And trying to think here at CISA 6, Lisa Sink has continued to really step it up and help with communications, for the referendum. So we've been very happy. Jim and I actually recorded a version of the PowerPoint, and then we're going to have that one uploaded to the website, if not tonight, tomorrow, so then we can have that just as another reference. So
could you please send that when you have it uploaded?
Yeah, yeah, I can share it with Jessica, and I can share it with you guys as well.
That'd be good. So, yeah, we all have Facebook pages, or Tony and I do, and can easily upload it.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem, and I can, no, that would be good, and we can, there's just a lot of, if you want us to share even reference to the referendum page or the FAQ, and maybe even pull out FAQ pieces out of there to help just inform the community, that would be great. So we're just, information is power. So,
or even just also let us know when it goes on the MPSD Facebook page, and then we can just share that post, because I'm guessing you're probably gonna have all the links, and why reinvent the wheel if it's presented in a.
Yes, and I'm not sure, one thing I did not indicate on here, we did talk with Lisa Sink. She is running the social media, and I think where that has not been, we haven't had a lot out on there. There's been some things out there, but the intention was really to fully market. And then she's also working on a spread for just an update for about the school district in general, an activity update, but then part of that mailer would also have referendum information in it as well. So so those specifics, she works very hard for us, and the nice thing is she has a team of designers and stuff. So where we don't have a communications person on hand, and maybe for some of the social media pieces in the website stuff, to have a specialist, and that would be beneficial maybe on site. We have like a graphic designer, and her expertise is really invaluable. So yeah, very valuable.
What was the second one, the virtual one?
The March 28th is a virtual one, and then tomorrow night, the 16th, is in person here at central office.
Could we use that district Facebook page to share some of this information, or have we been doing that?
I think there's been some information shared on there already, but I think there's going to be a much more intentional push of information in bits and pieces from here on out.
How come it hasn't been done as of
Oh,
yet?
I just think it was, we just need to, I think it was a matter of timing and being strategic about when we start pushing it. So
Oh,
we
30-second
talked
memory.
about a week ago about like, let's get that going. And honestly, I haven't been on social media a lot lately myself. So it could already be happening and I'm not aware, but I'm not sure what's been put out there. So, and then we'll work just like we have a process for, like, if anyone submits a question for the referendum on the referendum website page, if those, when we get those answers, then we respond to those people, and then we'll do that with the Facebook questions as well. So.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage us to take advantage of that, just because that page has so many followers and it's got such a wide reach. It's got by far the biggest reach out of any of us.
It'd be nice too if like I know Facebook blasts or what are those called, the boosts.
Well, and the infinite,
boost.
yeah.
You can't pay for it.
Yeah, well, no. What you can do is you can still advertise the fact that we're having that event, right?
Mhm.
So we can advertise, hey, come to this information session, and then there you go. Now it's that item is having exposure to more people, right?
Mhm.
You might know the rules around that better, but yeah, if that's true,
Then we should do that.
yeah. I mean, they already have, like I said, they just got so many followers, and that page needs tons of engagement. So we could leverage that. I mean, we can't stress enough how critical this is for our community. Everything that we want to accomplish as a board is going to be much easier if we can get the referendum passed. And as we talked about yesterday in the meeting, our board is united and we're working through. Really, we're fighting this battle on all fronts, right? We're addressing the funding issues with our state legislators, which it may take some time, and hopefully we get some traction there. But we can't have all our eggs in that basket, so we have to have the referendum ready to go, so that if we're not able to make traction there, we at least have the funding we need to move forward and push towards our goals of higher achievement and getting the district back to its glory days. So I feel pretty positive about it, and I'm encouraging all our community to really attend tomorrow and learn more about it. If you have questions, please reach out to us at the board, or Angela and Jim, and we'll answer any questions you have.
Yeah, and I would just add that, like, even if we, I think our presence at the, with the legislators and the day at the Capitol are so critical to, we really do need to turn the tide. Unfortunately, I'm going to be at a conference that day when you guys are at the Capitol. I'm glad we'll have representation there. But the thing is that, and I mentioned it last night too, getting the per pupil funding is great. We're just so behind from all these years too. So that's where we really still need that catch up, so yeah, it is critical. I think with everything you said. So,
yeah. And the other thing I'd like to add, if I may, is that, I want the public to know that we're, part of this process isn't just, hey, give us more money. Obviously, there's the fairness piece of it, which we're addressing with the legislators, but just as important to us on the board is, let's be wise with these funds, right? So we're evaluating everything that we're doing. All we spend, every dollar that goes out is being looked at from the lens of what's our return on investment and where's this dollar going to go? What are we going to get in return for this? So I would just like to reiterate to the public that that's always been one of our objectives, and we're not going to let back on that just if we get more funding. So we're still going to continue to be wise, and we're going to look for ways to get more, and hopefully we won't need all of it, but we have to plan, if we want to be a great district, which I believe we can, we have to make investments, and I'm asking our community to step up and help.
And I think too that if we have, depending upon where the state budget comes in, should the referendum pass, hopefully, we just, thinking ahead to that, like, if we run into a position where we have $500,000 more than we anticipated, we can put more, the board can evaluate that and say, we want to put more into capital projects, or nope, we're not going to budget all of it. We're going to lower, So there's, and then when we've talked about things like the OPEB our other post-employment benefits, as we look and continue to work through that, and we're in the very early stages, we haven't had any other additional meetings. Some of the costs of that, where we have savings in other areas, can apply to other needs like that too. So it's, I think, we just continue to work to inform the public and share with them how important the referendum and the vote is. And then, the variables from there, from now until 5 years from now, there's things that will change. We know that, because that's for certain. And then we just have to move forward with that information. So, yeah.
Well, and costs are going up. So
yeah, they're going to continue to go up.
They're going to continue to go up. You look at from 2015 to now, gallon of milk has gone up 20%. And then you look at the amount that, I think it was the number that you said, that the amount of tax or the amount of the mill rate, which is essentially the tax per 100,000, it's pretty much the same as 2015. Was that correct? Was that number?
The overall tax.
The overall tax. So
yes.
So when you have an increase or an increasing cost, and you're staying the same back from when inflation wasn't a thing,
correct,
we're being good stewards of those taxpayer funds when we're able to dial in and make sure that we are not, our costs have gone up too. So here we're, I don't know how best to say it, but I'm pretty sure that everybody can read between the lines. Costs are going up, and we're staying the same for the most part. In fact, it's actually less tax than what it was in 2021. So, it could be even worse situation, but it's not.
The amount is like $340 worth of savings between where we were in 2015, 16, or like since the 2017 tax year to now. And then we're asking to go $300. Now that's considering a very low property value increase. So if our property values increase more than I projected, the mill rate will stay lower, so that's when my fingers are crossed. So there's, so I feel solid about the projections that we did, and we just have to, just continue to inform the public. So, one thing that, Superintendent File and I talked about when we were making the video and stuff is that, really a lot of this catch-up revenue, it's a revenue problem more than anything, and especially since we haven't been funded over the last 2 years. So, that's where, had we not had pandemic relief funding, that really would have put us behind even sooner. So I'm glad we are looking closer at all of this stuff and being more, just really getting ourselves focused coming out of this pandemic, because it's important for us to not, not be, we don't want to find ourselves unprepared with the fiscal cliff that we can't manage it. So I feel like we've done our due diligence in that shape.
Yeah, another thing I'd like for voters to realize too is we cannot keep coming back at them only once a year. So it's either you vote it now, or we have to wait an entire year to even go back to referendum. So it's really critical that we get those funds sooner than later.
Yes, and that's why I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but making the points about the funding, because people say, well, you don't need funding if you get from the state, but that, that's already, I plan $200 per pupil in the next 2 years. So, if we get more, then we would have a little bit of extra money, but that wouldn't close the gap. That would be like, that if we don't get $200 more per student, we would lose $700,000 more.
And the state by design has said that they want the localities to chip in. That's why their funding mechanism is the way it is. They, the localities are on the hook for investing in their schools. They're not going to be doing the whole thing themselves.
Yeah.
And that's why they have it the way they do.
Yeah. So it's what it is. So we just have to keep getting the word out, and I feel really good about our efforts. I think we've done a solid job of putting together the information. When I think back, I felt like we did a good job at the last referendum, but I think we took it to the next level and to provide even more detail in response to what people asked for in the past. So
Would it be possible to have one more right before April 4th? Because we have the 28th. That's the last time that there's going to be a presentation. And then you have a couple days before they go to vote. Is it possible to maybe have one more presentation, whether it be virtual, maybe virtual, or just put it out there so that people can have those last questions answered one more time right before the referendum, so that there's actually 3, not 2 more opportunities for people to ask questions?
yeah, we can certainly look at the calendars or find a way to have, just, more blasts and questions. Yeah.
I mean, virtual is a relatively easy. And I know that sometimes, I'd hate for somebody to just say, you know what, or even a group of people to say, you know what, I'm not comfy, or they see something in the 28th and then they say, yep, I'm done, I'm not in. And then we lost that opportunity to talk to them about it when they could easily just have one more question answered to maybe hammer it home. I mean, there's a couple of days there that we could pump out that information. A virtual is not a very time-consuming endeavor. All it is just a presentation. You don't have to set aside a room or anything like that. Just maybe 2 people sitting in front of a camera.
Yeah, no, we can definitely take a look at that, and I'd be happy to offer that. I mean, I think that's more than we don't have the Board of Education meeting on the I don't know if it's the 29th or if that is our next meeting, and then the 30th is that Thursday. So we can certainly take a look at that and just I like that suggestion because it would kind of round out just one more time, and then then it's the weekend before, and I think by that time there is the group there is a group, an outside group from the district promoting the Yes campaign, and they have some other stuff that they're using to promote. I think over the next 2 to 3 weeks we're going to see that stuff come out even more. So
Okay.
So Angela, going along with that same idea, could we, and again, I'm not a social media person, but couldn't we have either a link on our Facebook page to the virtual presentation, like we have that one more, or like where people could ask questions via Facebook? Could we have a presentation on Facebook? Is that
like a live event is kind of what you're asking. Right?
On Facebook, because there are so many people who use it, and it's.
I think that'd be kind of good.
Yeah, we could see too. I think when we've talked about, just making a note.
But either way, to the virtual meeting that you're talking about, or virtual presentation, that's going to go on our website, you said?
Yeah, so Jim and I just did a voiceover recording of the PowerPoint, so we'll share that and we'll put that on the website, and then we can share it out on social media.
There should be a link to that.
Yeah,
Like the Facebook Live event idea.
But Facebook Live, I think, would be a really.
And we could do that too. Yeah, no, I agree. And one challenge with that, I think that we had discussed, and we're still happy to, I can talk to Jim and see if he's open to, I'd be more than open. I'm sure he would be too, is to ask for questions. I mean, we can take questions any time, but sometimes it's easier to be prepared with some questions, and then open it up to the chats. To have people ask questions. So, I think that, when we talk to him and we have an executive team meeting tomorrow, and we can just take a look at that and certainly get something on the calendar. So,
yeah, maybe that's something Lisa could help out with.
Yes, definitely.
Also, if you say you can't get the question answered, then all you do is just, you do it PM that person. Hey, I got the answer for you here.
Yeah.
There you go. It doesn't have to, I mean, sometimes on the fly, you're trying to watch what you say so that you provide them the right answer. Well, you know what? I'll take that information and I'll get it out to you. I mean, I'll send you a message in a little bit whenever we get it. And then, those other good ones that are going to be like, is it true that you're buying everybody slushies on Fridays? No, it's not true. We're not buying everybody slushies.
You bought a corner truck now.
Yeah.
So,
if I could add one quick thing too. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but really just to put things in perspective to our public. Right now, our per pupil funding is literally at the bottom 4% of the state. So there, that what that means is 96% of other school districts have more dollars per pupil combined, which is really a tremendous disadvantage and completely unfair to the people of Manitowoc and all the staff here, the students that come to our district and our community. So we really want to do what we can to address that issue systemically to fix that. And then one other thing, just on Colin's note earlier on inflation, how insane it is. Yeah, I think everyone's feeling it. You know, I don't drink Coca-Cola anymore, but I was at, very often anyway. I was at a grocery store about a month ago, and a 24-pack of Coke is going for like $20, which is freaking insane. So that's just, you know, and that's just the reality that we live in. Everything costs more. So like all the raw supplies that we need, you know, just, you know, just the cost of living for our staff. I mean, it's just very difficult. You know, if we're not able to adjust to this environment, it's going to make it more challenging for us to accomplish what we want. So I just thought that, you know, everyone can relate to that to some extent, I'm sure.
I agree. No, good points. Thank you. So any other?
Yeah, I think that should do it. The next thing on the agenda would be the SFA contract. So
Yes.
got to see the memo. That was some positive information there for positives, you know,
Yes.
always like that.
And I do have to, I have to correct myself because we have that, well, two things. Okay, so this is a cost estimate. It's not the official contract yet. So I jumped the gun on my labeling here. So this is the updated, the main changes with here are that it's, you know, I think Colin, in a conversation we had, I thought we had saved more, but I was thinking.
I thought it was too. As I was
longer
reading this, I'm
range-
like, I thought it was
longer
more than this.
range
But yeah.
Analysis versus this. So that was on me with that. You know, it wasn't very, very different, but here's the thing that it did go down in a sense. I mean, it's down overall, but it went down from the sense of we didn't have 4K materials added in there, and then those are added in there now. So, you know, one thing we did find from the original cost analysis and then after that is how they have the, if you look at, I have to pull up the cost agreement. Let me pull this up. It's on
Did those
page.
change much?
Zoom in here. It's just how they have it structured, and the representative that we're working with, it was just we had this confusion cleared up. Because if you look on page 15, they talk about estimated trade book titles to be purchased from another vendor is $284,000. That seemed like it was in addition to $393,000. So that's where some of that was not combined, you know, so it was thought that there was two separate numbers, that where it was like $600,000 or whatever that adds up to. And then when in essence, it's within the $393. So overall the costs are coming in lower than we expected. And, you know, it's every time, no matter if it's like Houghton Mifflin or a Success for All or any other kind of textbook company, they're going to give you a higher estimate with sort of more of all the bells and whistles. And then what you're able to do when you are committed to them is you're able to trim back and say, well, okay, well, we don't want this many kits for this, we'll take this. So really our next steps at this point, because we had a call yesterday with our representative, they're going to draft the contract. We'll share that with our legal counsel. And then when Jamie is back, then what we will do is they will go through and verify, because this is based on actual counts, like more tighter counts in the 4K as well. And then we'll just finalize that stuff with them. So we're expecting that we will bring the final contract after legal review to the April 11th board meeting.
So it says on here that this quote is good for 90 days. What day is this quote effective on?
Oh, let me see here. I mean, this is just 2 weeks or so ago. I mean, this is the price estimate, so then, or the cost estimate, so then they'll give us an actual, I mean, we'll be able to still honor these prices. You know, we'll be within this. So if this is dated March 11th or March 8th, so April 11th, we will be okay with that. So
All right, just as long as we're adhering to timelines and then we don't all of a sudden have a surprise, we gotta pay more now for this
Understandable. Yeah, but no, we should be fine within that.
And then as far as the, we have a liaison with SFA, to help facilitate this project. Have they approved, have they given that this is what our project is going to look like? Is there a possibility for there to be, not anomalies, but, costs that we haven't foreseen? Yeah. Unforeseen costs.
We will, within our own costs, and that's where some of the, like ongoing professional development down the road and that full analysis was involved. I mean, anytime we have, like staff involved in training, like out of town, we have to pay for that. Like this includes the registrations and stuff, but we annually send people out for travel. It's just, there'll be more focused travel for this initiative for this next year. So that's one thing, that if we send people for training, that will be an additional consideration in that budget. So, and the amount of ESSER funds that we earmarked for SFA was $750,000. So if we were to start getting, and some of that we can start getting this year, because it's an ESSER funding, we can claim it on either this year or next year. So we can get, like, our auditors allow us to get materials that they're used for preparation and viewing and stuff in advance, but we can't purchase like everything for the students until July 1. So that money that's earmarked through ESSER, whether we truly use it in the budget this year or in next year, it's earmarked for that purpose.
So ESSER funds are going to cover approximately half the cost, is that right?
Correct.
Great.
Yeah.
And the sooner we use it, the sooner we can be basically like we're funded our money, right?
Sure.
Yes.
For claiming. Yeah, and we have to, because we have to meet those EBIS requirements. We have to say that this meets EBIS requirements, and we would mark that for everything related to the professional development, and it has to be evidence-based instructional strategies. So this does meet that. I mean, we were using like summer school last year, and there's a multitude of ways you can charge it off and you can meet the requirements. But this is one definite way. It was interesting to look at that list, because it's in a lot of ways you can't say, well, we're just going to get an extra teacher, because that, there's different research on those things. So, well, I mean, actually teachers is one thing, but like sometimes it just depends upon, like, for certain types of professional development would count, and certain staffing things would count in certain circumstances. So
also on there is the technology fees that are associated with that. So one of the things with technology fees, since how with the referendum, we're going to be, that is part of the referendum where we're looking to upgrade our technology, just so that we're not going in, upgrading technology and then having to redo anything. Is that timelined out to be efficient?
Related to what's required for SFA.
Yeah.
Jessica, as our technology, information technology leader, she has the information on the requirements, and there have not been any concerns shared with what we will need to make that happen. So I believe there are no issues there.
I got no further. Anybody else?
No.
All right, great. Moving on, then Angela, did you have anything else that you wanted to address with that? Okay, so then the next item that I would like to bring up here is the student accident insurance policy for 23-24.
Yes, this was just an annual renewal. We offer a student accident insurance, and it's the second point of insurance. The premium came down this year to $9,800, and it's we have a process for investigating incidents for staff and students in the district. And like if a student were to have an incident in a school and need medical attention, and their primary insurance through their home would not cover it all, the secondary insurance could be used to cover additional costs. So
well, on school property, right?
Yes, and it does not cover WIAA, and I could see here, I haven't had a chance to look today yet, however, I asked them for a report of our claims just to kind of get, he hasn't been able to get back to me yet, but we haven't had a lot of expensive claims this year. Like one year we had like over $25,000 worth of claims. I want to say it was last year, I thought.
At the beginning of the year, I think there was a report that they provided that, and that seemed like there was that 1 year, and then it was this year was dropping off, and then we had one more year, and then we were going to have a larger portion drop. Was that what?
Well, that's related to our workers' compensation.
Oh,
So
okay.
that, and that's a little bit different, but like, I can't remember. Essentially last year, they paid more in claims than we paid in premiums. So we really, are making out, in a good spot. And it's good that we offer this coverage as an added protection for our students and for families. So I'm just recommending that we approve the annual renewal. It's pretty straightforward. And there is like an additional insurance coverage that families can purchase that I have like a link to information I share, and that's just something because we use First Agency that they can connect with them if they'd like, but we don't openly really advertise and push that just because it's something that most parents usually have already.
When was the last time we put this company up for bid?
I am not sure when the district, not since I've been here, and they're just the agency that most districts, or at least the two districts I've worked in, use them for this. We could always put it out for bid. I'm not opposed to it by any means. I think maybe it's something that we could look at too for next year.
I would encourage it. I know a lot of companies, almost across the board, almost all insurance companies have gone up in price.
Yes.
And then on top of that, though, sometimes, it depends on what they do. There might be something they can work out with us, credits applied or something like that. Maybe even where they can, they know that they might be losing us. We get a possibly cheaper rate, or even just seeing if somebody else is doing it cheaper and better. I encourage people to, insurance goes up and down and it's cyclical. And that's the game.
Yeah.
So having a relationship with your carrier is what you want to have. However, we have somebody that takes care of so we should maybe be looking to see if that's not being done.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, M3, who is our broker for our other insurances, they don't manage this one at all. So even going through them, they may know, this is just First Agency is underwritten by Gallagher. And, they've said too that we could, if we wanted to at some point, so this is.
Can we make a recommend? Would anybody be willing to make a motion to have that?
Would you want me to still go
I would
this year?
Don't we have to per policy or not?
This one, the only thing that we are required to go out to bid for is food service every 5 years. But we have, we talked about this last year too, about going out to bid on a more regular basis for things. And, if you want me to ask them to get a bid for us on student accident insurance, I could ask M3 to help and assist with that. That would be.
I would think so, because this isn't effective till 8/1.
Right.
So we have plenty of time to make this happen. I think that we should.
Okay.
I will say though that it's encouraging that we're just talking about all of prices rising, and yet we're getting 10% off of last year. So
Yeah.
I'm doubtful we're going to find a better.
You'd be
I mean,
surprised.
Yeah, well, that's
But
true.
just to
Maybe
see,
I'll be
just to
surprised.
see what's out there. And
But it
just to
shows
kind of
we're
know.
doing our due diligence.
Yeah, no,
that makes sense. So I guess I would make the motion then to how should we phrase this? I'd make the motion to seek bids on our student accident insurance that we can review then before 8/1 for the 22-23.
And we would
sorry,
really work
23,
to have
24
that.
Just so you know in here,
We got a
for
motion.
next school year, you have.
Do you make a motion, or you made the motion, right?
Yeah, sorry.
So I got to call for a
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, so second, now discussion.
Yeah, Angela, on here, it reads that it's for accident insurance coverage for next school year 22-23, which would actually be 23-24.
Oh, that's my bad. I'm
So,
sorry.
just that typo to make sure we have that changed then
Oh,
moving forward.
yes. Mhm. I apologize about that.
Sorry.
No worries.
You should have flux capacitor.
Huh?
Flux
If you have
capacitor.
a flux capacitor, that's
Yeah.
pretty much not gonna happen.
Very great. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. We'll be moving forward with seeking it for bid. At this time, then I'm guessing then we would just pause until we can get that short out, correct?
Yeah.
Excellent. Next item on the agenda is going to be the updates from the business office and the activity updates. I know you guys have been pretty busy, so I want to actually just take a second to just acknowledge the business department. And they've been really plugging away on a lot of different things. You guys have done a great job. So
Thank you.
I want to just take a second there, and then if you want to continue on.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. It's been very busy. So, a couple of things on here, and I have things just, things in a different order on here. Well, I'll take it first as it is on the agenda. The Blue Edge Energy Consulting, we had discussed, Tony had recommended that we look at energy procurement, and the district had not explored that. So really, there are a couple of notes I just got off the phone with our the consultant that we've engaged with through Blue Edge Energy, and let me just pull it up right now. And I have a lot of the talking points in here, and he had just provided some additional information that I can share with you. So, really, this right now we get our gas through WPS, and we don't, they're a provider and we just get the gas through them. But when we select your supplier, you're able to lock into lower rates and just have, in this case, we can work with, our consultant. He went out and put it out for bid. So we ended up having two people that put in a bid on this, and then he, so we went to, they went forward and they looked at different companies, and we went with, I'm just trying to find the name of it, WFS Connect, so World Fuels, and they were the lowest bidder. So out of where they normally have 4 to 5 different companies bid on that, there were only 2, but they are always the one that bids in the lowest. And so we need to, engage in a contract with that company now, and then we just have to prepare, and this goes into effect November 1st. So they'll be able to provide more data, and I think the best way to describe it is we're much more in the driver's seat with this, instead of being like a passive consumer with our natural gas,
Yeah,
Good job, Tony.
I could probably simplify
Yeah, this
that.
is his,
This is baby. Good job,
please add.
Yeah, so think of it this way, right? You're buying a commodity of gas, right? Like,
Mhm.
think of it like you're going to a gas station, right? Right now, the gas station that we're buying from is selling it for $5 a gallon. And, this other group can come in and find a gas station that's willing to sell to us for $4 a gallon. So it literally costs us no dollars to get into this, and it's going to automatically reduce our operating expenses.
Awesome.
Which can
Awesome.
be pretty significant with natural gas lately. So I was all in favor of this, and I'm glad. Thank you, Angela, and your team for looking into this, that we found an option. Do we have any idea of any estimates from these guys? Unless I just did how much they anticipate saving in our first year by switching over?
He said too that we will be able to ultimately budget tighter and that, but we need more information for we have our supplier now with this World Fuels Connect, and I can forward and he said this is just a supply, a 2-year agreement, a lock-in, which is the cheapest, would be per, I want to say it's 10 cents. 10 cents a therm is what it is. This is, he said, it says, looks like 1.04, but it's, I don't know if I forwarded this to you, Tony, but I'll send it to you now. But we, you know, we're able to lock into the lowest price essentially, but he said that that's one component. So to be able to say exactly how much we're going to save. But when he goes through more of this process of formally engaging with them, then we can get some more of the pieces to the puzzle. So part of it is we have to put our trust in him to advocate. He works with over 32 school districts in the state. And so, you know, this is going to be a very positive thing for the district. You know, we're just going to be in a better place overall. Send this to all of you.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how he does. If he could report back to us once we have a picture. What's our annual spend right now on gas? You know?
Ooh, I can't remember offhand. I should have that here, but
You should.
I'm guessing for all the buildings we have, it's probably, it's got to be north of a couple $100,000, I would think.
let me see.
Oh,
if I
yeah,
can-
with like 1 million square feet of
Yeah.
school.
And I guess just speaking from my experience, you know, with even though my company doesn't specialize in this area, you know, a lot of my customers benefit from this. So there's a group that I've worked with in the past and historically, especially with where the rates have been in recent years. I mean, you've been able to save like 20 to, you know, 40% off your gas bills, which can be pretty substantial. So again, a lot of that just depends on where the market's at the time, but
Mhm.
you know, generally speaking, in my experience, introducing competition is always a good thing. And, you know, that's why I was a big advocate for, hey, let's get on this as soon as we can, because, you know, it's easy. These are like easy savings, like money that can go right back into other areas or priorities that we want to look at.
Yeah, so I'll definitely provide an update, and he's willing to come to the, you know, either finance and budget or the strategic planning, whatever this committee will, you know, morph into, you know, to provide updates. And he will also, the really nice thing is he's going to work with Richard Peterson, our energy specialist. And what we're going to end up having is where they'll put something on the meters where it'll read daily. So then he said that he can also feed that information, or our synergistic rep was saying that they can get a feed of that information into our energy cap, where that can give Richard an alert. So if something spikes high and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? He can look into it right away. So it's really, you know, we're benefiting not only from savings, but just knowledge and capacity with that stuff. And in some of these very specialized things, for me, it's, you know, that's just huge, you know, and he will also bill us 3 cents a therm, and then, you know, that will become separate. Like he doesn't hide that within our, you know, it doesn't get like sort of buried into our gas bill or anything like that, which I think Tony had mentioned that it's better to have that approach where we get billed separately from him. It's being transparent.
You at least see the guys making money, right? I mean, you can't expect them to work for free, but you know, you can at least see what his rate is. And so I kind of like that approach. And if you look at that bar graph on page 6 there, I mean, you can see over time, like it's been as low as the market has been in some cases below half of what WPS would normally be. So it's a no-brainer in my opinion to do this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about it, and it's just nice to see, you know, this is some of the information that he shared with us back in September. And so, really, you know, and the education is huge too. It helps build my capacity, and you know, with our buildings and grounds manager, we'll involve him as, of course, when he's on hand. And you know, and Chris Dupree really, you know, he put out a message on the message boards with his other fellow buildings and grounds managers and said, who do you use? And you know, this Blue Edge Energy came highly recommended. So and we met with you know, four different people, and so that we're happy with what we learned. So
are there other opportunities of, you know, I mean, we're saving all this money in an inefficiency with gas rates, and maybe Tony, I know that this is kind of your energy efficiency is your wheelhouse, but are there other efficiencies that, you know, that we could maybe look at if we're saving bucks? That's great, especially when we're trying to make the, you know, keep the doors open. I mean, is there another area that maybe we should be looking at to
just in the other areas of the budget itself?
Yeah, I mean, is there water efficiencies that we could look at? Is there, I mean, even just, you know, making sure that we have the most efficient buildings so that we're not wasting money.
Well, I think having like the synergistic agreement, you know, that's helped us save money there. I mean, in there working, Richard is working on Energy Star certifications right now. So we're hoping to have some good news and some Energy Star rated buildings, you know, come summer already. So we're working on those processes. And, you know, this information, like I mentioned, Richard will go around and he kind of is the eyes and ears, you know, of energy savings. So he can kind of take notice of things and coach and work. So that's good. In other areas of the budget too, I planned in April to share more with food service. I mean, we take advantage of just being a part of Chartwell's and Compass Group. They have amazing savings that we take advantage of, like above, and we get better prices more than if we were our own self-operated food service program, even from equipment, and they buy commodities through there. So the nice thing is they really manage all of that. Our food service director and the two in the office there, they do a fantastic job of managing and preparing that stuff. So it's, you know, they're just top notch. So we really, really do work hard to get the best deals that we can on anything that we are able to. We got like a supply chain assistance from DPI. I want to say it was $110,000, and we use that to go towards milk. So, you know, it's, you know, that's where we can take something that we buy large in bulk and apply it in a certain way. And it's, we do get a lot of opportunities, more than we maybe realize at times.
Just funny, I was just thinking how you brought that up. And I think I don't even think of this, but like the general parent or community member doesn't realize the cost of things. Like when you think about like, oh, we spent $110,000 just on milk. Actually, it's probably more than that, right? So it's like, you know, we just think about having doors open and paying our teachers, but it's so much more than that. Like I never really thought about buying milk. So
yeah, no, it is really good. So I'm gonna turn that up here. More is getting a little cool.
it is really cool. About energy savings.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah.
Those are, it's like, as far as like, and synergistic, they're the ones that are monitoring our energy output currently.
Yeah.
So when was the last report that we got from them to the board, by the way?
They're actually planning to come in summer last year. So they'll do like an annual report. And so we were talking just yesterday about potentially if we are able to get some Energy Star buildings, bringing those to a full board meeting, because we want to really celebrate those. I mean, it's all a celebration, but then we would maybe bring to like the long range planning committee, the more the meat and potatoes of this is how much. And we really are doing well. I think we had maybe 9% cost avoidance last year. We were up to like 14-15% during some of the winter months. So like our investment of our ALC, the system that just kicked on, you know, it's really, I mean, Richard has been top notch at working through all of this stuff. And it's been a challenge, you know, when you do any major implementation, whether it's a financial system I'm planning or a heating system, you know, it takes a lot of effort and work, and you know, you've got to have the vision for the improvement for the organization over time, and we're seeing that. So it's really exciting.
We have so many buildings. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Have we asked him, and I can't remember if we asked them, but you know, there are programs where you can fund a lot of projects, you know, through savings. Have they looked at that for us?
Well, the one thing that we have not done yet as a district, and I think we would be foolish not to start getting, as soon as we have more, you know, funding available and an ability to do that, is to do the focus on energy for LED lighting. You know, we have not done that in most districts. That's something we're behind the 8 ball on that, you know.
Can we bring them in on the next finance meeting? I'd like to chat. I'd like to talk to them a little bit and get a ball, you know, just kind of, you know, find out what some of the things that they're doing, where we're at on those savings. And I would like to kind of get at least a picture as to where we're at and how much we've completed in that.
And I think too, yeah, no, I mean, we can definitely do it. I think knowing where we're at with the referendum, like, I mean, you know, fingers crossed that it passes, and, you know, knowing what we would have, I'm just gonna throw this out and it could end up looking different, but like you could say, we're gonna invest $10,000 a year in LED lighting, and then you chip away at certain things every year, you know, so it might take you 5-6 years to get through all of your buildings. And then you get, once you put some in, then you get rebates, and then, you know, it's kind of it's not a 1-for-1, but it's, you get reimbursements. So when when Chris had the ventilation unit put in the Lincoln pool, we got a rebate from that. And I don't have that number on hand, but we're able to get savings from that. Additionally, for E-rates, we did the bidding for the wireless and the hardware upgrades. You know, we get funding that we can use for that because of E-rates. So I really do feel like we sort of unpeel the onion as much as we can, you know, so.
Yeah, if I could just add on real quick, and I think that's certainly one way to approach it, and, you know, certainly a viable way to approach it. I would like to ask these guys, you know, in many cases, we can structure energy saving projects such that they won't impact the budget, right? They're budget neutral.
Mhm.
Because the savings that they deliver will literally pay for them, right? So
Correct.
and I know this because, you know, I'm in a business that does a lot of, you know, LED projects, and a lot of our projects are structured this way, where we can literally. So what I'm getting at is there's a way to do that, and I'm sure they probably could do that, and I would encourage us to explore that, because if we can do this, you know, in lieu of allocating budget towards it or capital towards it, you know, I'd rather just, hey, let's have the base for itself. Let's go that route. That way we can allocate our funding for other areas. And if we haven't explored that with them, I would suggest that we bring that up and ask them to see what they can do for us on that front.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at the lights, those are just tube, right? Right, the ones we're looking at right here.
Yeah, I mean, they're not LEDs,
so LED is the most efficient right now, right?
Yeah.
So if LED is the most efficient, then there is savings we can have.
Yes.
We just need to get them.
Yeah, I think if we can do that, or at least see what that looks like and how they shake out. And in many cases, you know, like I said, you might even be able to structure it to where it'll actually save you more than it costs you, right? So let's just say
It should, yeah.
Like hypothetically, it's if you do the whole district, whatever's not done yet, let's just say it'll save, you know, $5,000 a month or whatever. And in lieu of doing, you know, $200,000 outlay to get all that, capture it all in one time, you can, you know, basically just pay back like $4,000.
Yeah.
Now the net saving, now we're actually saving $1,000 a month over what we were spending before, and we got brand new lights everywhere. So that's just one example, and you can do that with other energy efficiency measures. But I think that would be a great avenue for us to explore, just knowing that, you know, frankly, when you look at the volume of capital repairs that are in front of us, if we could find any of them that could fund themselves through savings, then I think that's a route we got to explore.
Yeah, even like windows. I mean, there's the discussion right now, you know, that we need to have updated windows. Is there efficiency that we could have by updating our windows, and what that, you know, I mean, I know I'm probably just opening Pandora's box, literally, but you know what? Down the road, I mean, eventually we're gonna have to figure out.
We have needs, yeah.
We have needs, and how do we make those needs, one, met, and two, can we make it in the, you know, we need to save as much money as possible, because that, we know that prices are going to go up. They're going to continue to go up. So if we keep operating in an inefficient manner, it just puts us in a worse and worse and worse situation.
I was just going to add on to that. Like the great thing about the model I just described is that, like, you literally don't have to come up with new money, right? Because if we just sit here and don't do anything, like,
then we're throwing money out.
Then we're still paying for the higher operating costs of older technology, right? Whereas if we structured it, you know, the way that I just described, we could literally do it all, and then it pays for itself, and then whatever capital could have gone there is now available to us for other areas that may not have the savings, but still have to get done, right? So
yes.
And I guess one word of caution I'll say is, you know, a lot of this just depends on the economics. So like the first step is like kind of having like some sort of assessment done to see what the opportunity looks like.
Yeah.
But in many cases, you know, you can structure them that way, and that would be worth looking at, I think, for us.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think too, like in light of all of our needs, like one thing, you know, our focus has been informing the public and focusing on this referendum right now, of course, but I think once we get to, you know, looking on next year's budget, and we need to revisit that capital improvements plan and we need to get a full analysis done and figure out how we're going to do that, whether it be with Nexus or CISA 10 or, you know, Michael is going to be, you know, a huge asset to coming in here and working on, you know, our capital improvements plan, but that's really, you know, really unpeeling the onion on every corner of the district will be critical. So yeah, we've got a lot of work ahead of us, but it's exciting. I mean, we can make a lot of impact. So
well, props to you and the team. This is a great step in the right direction, and you know, I encourage you to continue down this path and find more ways to be wise and efficient with our spend.
Yeah, I'll contact them and start to develop a plan. Because that's something with, you know, that they can do a walkthrough in the buildings. And Chris, you know, I met with them once and we talked about preliminary things, but I don't know if they ever done a walkthrough. Yeah. And that will kind of help them get an idea too. Those, you'll say you have 10 buildings, but until they get boots on the ground and see them firsthand, it's a little more challenging. So
that Schwartz, I believe his last name is Schwartz.
Yes, Michael Schwartz.
He might even be an individual. So just to kind of start, I mean, to wrapping his head around it might be an opportunity for him to just start assessing.
Yes, correct. You know, I agree.
You know, get him to work. That's good. Get him on the ground. So.
Yeah. No, I know we're budget and finance, but I can't help it when we're talking about all these things too. We're also talking about being environmentally responsible.
Yes.
Which that's exciting too. And I think that also helps make us be, it goes toward our strategic plan with being a more, a bigger destination place. I mean, that appeals to a lot of people. And I think we should be, so.
Yeah.
Just a side note.
I agree. So, are we all ready to go on to the next item?
I'm good. Yeah. So then that sounds like the, you know, great 23-24 budget calendar.
Yeah, I just put some, you know, this is something that I had kind of roughed out last year already in our budget leaders budget book. And then, you know, just kind of putting this out for initial conversation. So right now we're working on plan scenarios with referendum passing and referendum not passing so that we're able to act either way. So that that's the most critical piece of our work right now. We also have to start preparing to have budget managers enter their budgets into, you know, enter them into Skyward and prepare that information. So, you know, that's kind of in the works right now. We have to kind of start the process of closing out this fiscal year on a purchasing standpoint. And what happens really is our staff increase portion of the budget, which is always has to be sort of considered at this time of the year, is the main thing that we're preparing for within the system. And then we'll need to bring that to we're planning to bring that to the committee of the whole in April, because we have to work and they have it ratified with the MEA and bring it to the full board for a vote before we can process contracts. And there's a deadline to do that from May 15th. So that's where, and I put that kind of at the end of the memo, like what our overall timeline is. But, you know, in the work that I'm focusing on right now is working on preparing the system to do those, you know, getting those calculations ready to go and looking at the different scenarios for that. After that is done, and we'll start working on the rest of the budget as well. So the rest of the budget is far smaller when you consider all of the open enrollment transfer out, special education transfer out, you know, the supply purchase service budgets, those are smaller. So I guess what I'm aiming and hoping to do is to have a first draft of the full budget by June. You know, we'll have the salary compensation portion figured out by, you know, once we know where the referendum result ends up, we'll be able to, you know, work forward with, you know, what we feel, work with our recommendation. And then, I'm just hoping to get started earlier on the budget process overall. And I know Jim and I talked a little bit, there's been different ways that it's been brought in the past, and I'm trying to find my way with it. But, one thing he wanted to see more was by buildings. So like if you have all the elementary budgets, okay, here's how the elementary budgets, so you can see those a little bit more focused. So I'm hoping to do that and work with him on a way, because he just wanted to make some suggestions with how we brought that forward this year.
Yeah, Angela, it brings up, actually, I made a note about asking about this, so I'm really glad you brought up building budgets. I just have a question about how some of that works. So I know we do the building budgets, and I'm going to bring this example up because it's who I'm tied to. So according to the art department, there's been some confusion about some things that they have been able to do in the past that they couldn't recently do, because now it's a building budget. The art department doesn't have a separate budget. So like, for example, though, because we were at the Youth Art Month, I had a chance to talk to a bunch of the teachers.
Yeah.
And there are teachers who can't even afford right now to go out and purchase markers for the rest of the year. So I actually dug up my own. And so like, that's because they're not being allotted that out of the building budget. So for me, it was a bit of a flag, or it raised my antenna a little bit. So I'm wondering how that's working out, because, and that's not true for all areas, but
that's a really, really, we had, when I came into the district, there were some concerns shared the month or two before I arrived about the music budget. Now that happens to be home for me, like where I'm well versed in that area. And art and Phi-Ed are not any different. So art kilns are the greatest example. What's our kiln rotation? I would love, and I reached out because there was a request for Youth Art Month money, and that, in general, for our budgets, what we need, what I'm going to be charging all the budget managers to do, is to much more carefully put together the detail of what they need and want. Okay. And in the past, we've given allocations. We've said, here you have $5,000. Tell us the lines in the budget where you want it spent. And then they would spend and identify which line it would go under. But they wouldn't say, okay, I want to make sure I have this much construction paper, this much for markers, this much, okay? And the building budgets primarily give money for, supplies for classrooms, some very little professional development, but there are certain things that the building budgets do cover, but it's not a whole lot, especially at the elementary level. So that's one thing that we need to just more closely evaluate. And then when you get to things like Youth Art Month, that's a district sponsored activity that's covered by district funds. That shouldn't weigh on the building funds. So I know that was a concern that I worked through with them. And I need to meet with them and see how we can work some of those things out. There were some changes with, bless you, with how things were supposed to be coded whether it's at the district or the building level, but they can still be coded to the district level. And I guess the greatest way that I would explain it when I was a teacher too was that I was at a middle school, and my principal didn't understand. They supported the program, of course, but they didn't understand the shape and the value of the program as a whole over K-12. And so Youth Art Month is a great example, because that is something that is a staple in our community. And so, that is something that, a building principal, when they think about their building, they're not thinking, I'm going to make sure I set aside Youth Art Month money. That's not something they should even have to worry about.
Right.
So in that detail, I'm going to work with Jamie and the directors and make sure that we have those things detailed out. So, and we did that for music, because they weren't funding the repair and purchase of new instruments for a couple of years when we went to building-based budgeting, and it was not good. So I don't know if I kind of went on a tangent, but
no, it's okay. I just think that's an area that we probably have to address.
Yeah.
So, and I was just really aware of that at Youth Art Month.
And what I found last year, where I thought I was trying to get them to, I thought they were assembling more detail in the background. Sometimes I found that in some areas of our budget that budget holders were just saying, well, we just use our money and we don't have a list of what we need. You know, so that's where you just need to work harder at that. There is no reason, you know, when I detail out for the business office, I know, okay, approximately this many conferences, this many, you know, that should be budgeted out.
Yeah.
So
As an art teacher though, I know how hard it is sometimes when you may switch gears with what the projects that you're doing, or
Yes.
you don't know if, I'll just go back to markers.
mhm.
How many markers you're really gonna go through? You need to go out and get some more. You know, there
Yeah.
needs to be some flexibility with some of that.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, so what
Just
we
wanna
can
bring
talk
that
offline too, and you know, some of that too, if there's somewhere that we need to help out, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
Talk to
thank
Sam
you.
Daly. She would know more.
Huh?
Sam and Casey talked to them about it.
Okay. Okay.
Skyward update.
Skyward update, well, we continue to work through Skyward. This is, let me just pull up my sheet here too. We're working on implementing the time tracking, which is where hourly employees put their hours in. Subtracking imports that brings in, we have our subs take jobs on frontline, and so we can pull that information into our system for payroll now. And one of the most exciting things is the e-commerce purchasing too. I mean, it's all exciting to me, but the e-commerce purchasing allows teachers to go into Amazon. So we actually, again, get the best savings. We have the level with the most savings for Amazon.
Mhm.
And so our teachers can go in there and find discounted items, and they go in through Skyward, shop in Amazon, and it comes right in. It all draws into the purchase order, so they're not copying and pasting and typing. That's at least, it's so labor intensive, but it's been really, really nice. So that's just making us more efficient. You know, we're working on an employee reimbursement for like travel. We don't do like, employees are really not supposed to be purchasing items on their own and then being reimbursed. That is not in accordance with their policy, but we do reimburse for travel mileage. So that's, you know, some of those things where we'll handle that through the system. That'll be good. We had minor issues with benefit and deduction code updates. So we have to do, like on our first payroll, we had something where like our WRS didn't reduce tax. So we have to do a manual payroll and do a fix for that. But that's really, it'd be $1 or $2 difference for the employees, and it'll essentially reduce the tax owed, and through what they've paid in tax, credit them with that. So it'll be a, you know, wash out with their taxes and stuff. So that was a minor thing there. You know, we had some, I didn't put it in here, just some time off things that disappeared from the system, but those are all things when you have a major implementation part of the process. So, yeah, I mean, we're just moving forward, and it just, getting through the first year is a big process. And the staff planning, I'll be working with human resources with Jennifer Blake Krieger, our new human resources generalist, and, her and I worked together in Malders on Skyward, so we'll be preparing the system to get contracts ready, and we're going to be off and running. So.
And when is this might be part of the budget calendar too, but when do we have our audit too? Just, you know, there was the question that we had received about audits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When is our next audit?
In August,
Okay.
usually around the 1st of August.
And so when we have like all these moving pieces that occurred with Skyward,
Yeah.
that's when they're going to be taking a look to make sure that, you know, we didn't drop any balls or anything, and everything's all still hunky dory.
Yeah, and really, I mean, the processing out of Skyward, we used to have to manually enter have invoices entered for payroll items. Now you just pull right into accounts payable, so there's no, you know, it's just so much more streamlined in our system. So it's a lot better.
Good.
I think, and we've had instances where we send out a payroll message and say payroll has been posted, because it has like an automated message, and then we've had situations where timesheet wasn't turned in or something got missed, but we always work to resolve the situation right away. So, yeah.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else for the good of the order, I would. Did anybody have anything? I'd seek a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.